Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 1st, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Relatively clear skies across Washington, Oregon. Some of that monsoon moisture actually trying to creep into Oregon as we speak. Weak low pressure system continues to spin here. This will eventually eject and move across into Alberta here. Then we're going to redevelop a trough a little bit further offshore. It's going to allow us to build a ridge here as we go through this weekend into early next week. We're going to bring some thunderstorm potential across the higher terrain as well. And then we've got that fantasy system that's been showing up in the model runs. It's going to try to swing through the Pacific Northwest. We'll continue to monitor that one, and we'll take a detailed look at it coming up here. This is looking at Spokane. Warm temperatures continue through the week here. Nothing too crazy, a little bit above average, but always good graphics there from the National Weather Service Spokane. And again, if you guys want a nice, affordable home weather station, this one's got a great smartphone app. It's all wireless, stores all the data for you in the cloud, solar powered. I highly recommend this weather station, and you can scroll all across the world here and click on these individual stations, and you can see where everybody else has their stations set up, and you can keep all your data private if you want as well. This is looking at SeaTac. Check it out, 78 degrees. Another glorious day out there, lots of sunshine, right around average, low humidities, relatively speaking anyway. And we finished the month there with 900ths of an inch, well below average here, but it is our dry time of year, nothing too crazy. This is looking at the European ensemble mean versus the GFS ensemble mean here. You can see Washington, Oregon, California. There's Alaska up there. There goes that system we saw in the infrared satellite imagery kind of spinning right there across western BC. You can see it generally weakens and moves off to the northeast, and we redevelop that trough here, and we start to build this ridge all the way up into Canada here. It's not a massive heat dome, but it will warm things up a bit here across the Pacific Northwest. And then as we scroll on a bit further into the future, the August 9th and 10th time frame, you can see a little bit stronger trough here maybe on the European versus the GFS here on the right. Still has somewhat of a ridge building up into all the way past northern Alaska here. But yeah, once you look at a little bit further into these ensemble runs here, you get the smoothing out effect here. It's an average of 50 ensemble members, so it doesn't tell you too much here. But you can see a little bit stronger trough on the European. Now this is looking at the European control run here. So this is the deterministic run. This is the initial conditions, best we understand. This is not an ensemble run. This is not an average. It's just kind of taking those initial conditions and letting them run out. You see the development of the trough over the Gulf of Alaska here. We build the ridge here as we go through the weekend, and then we want to swing a trough through here, at least according to the European. And that would at least cool us down, maybe bring some precipitation to portions west of the Cascades here coming up. We'll look at that in a little bit more detail in a moment. But right now, it's not come out of Fantasyland. I mean, it's summertime. Things are relatively slow here, so we're just kind of like looking for things to get excited about at this point. This is looking at that same run here, but this is 6-hour precipitation with mean sea level pressure. You can see Vancouver Island, Washington, Oregon here. And as we put these days into motion, you'll see as we go through Friday, you can see a possibility of some afternoon thunderstorms across the Washington, Oregon Cascades, Idaho, Montana. And as we go on into Saturday, a little bit of an uptick there across the Washington, Oregon Cascades as well. Some of the coastal range of BC, the higher terrain. Now you can see all this precipitation occurring across some of Yellowstone, the Rocky Mountains of Idaho, and Montana as well, up into Alberta and BC also. And then we're going to repeat that again Sunday across the Cascades. So heads up if you're going to be out in the backcountry there across the Washington Cascades here as we go through this weekend into early next week. You can see even Tuesday, another round there. But you'll see that system out here. It's not a tight gradient, but you can kind of see the low pressure out there trying to bring some precipitation with it as it swings through western Washington, Oregon, kind of a hit and miss nature here, a weak frontal system moving through the area. We'll watch how that trends over the next few days. If nothing else, it would likely bring a cool down here across the Pacific Northwest. We're still looking 200 plus hours out at this point, so purely fantasy right now. This is looking at the lightning flash density potential. So as we scroll through these afternoon hours, let's go to Wednesday afternoon. You can see that increase across some of Oregon there. Not too much, but by the time we get to Thursday here, you can see that increase across some of Oregon. And then by the time we get to Friday, we start to bring some of this activity up across the Cascades of Washington. And then Saturday, kind of a repeat there as well. That would be Saturday afternoon shown here. A place like Wenatchee, Chelan, maybe getting in thunderstorm activity. Some of the North Cascades, even down towards Mount Rainier here. So anybody out and about across the higher terrain or the backcountry, you got to keep your eye out for some of these thunderstorm developments here as we go through the afternoon hours this weekend on in through Monday shown here. This is looking at the European total precipitation in inches. We're just going to blast right through this, and you can see it doesn't really call much for for Seattle Metro, but some of the areas of Western Washington and Western Oregon could get some out of that system here. But otherwise, we're not talking about much. It's going to be Cascades, higher terrain, Northeast Washington, Blue Mountains here, the higher terrain of Idaho, Montana. And the further you get east here, check out some of these precipitation amounts over the next 250 plus hours across Montana, Yellowstone out there. So if you got a trip out to Yellowstone, you might want to keep that in the back of your mind. Now, here we are looking at Portland. This is looking at the European 15-day temperatures, and you can see the red line is the average for this time of year, generally just above average here, and a little bump here as we go through this weekend into Monday, and then the potential for that trough coming after that. Tillamook, Oregon, nice and comfortable this time of year. Average temperature right around 70 degrees, a little bit above that here as we go through the next few days and this weekend. Great weather here incoming. This is Hoquiam, Washington. Something similar there. It does average a little bit chillier temperatures, but should be right around that as we go through this weekend. Also, Bend, Oregon, tiny little bump here as we go through the end of the weekend into next week. Then maybe that trough cools things down after that. Seattle Metro, something similar, but Seafair weekend should be quite warm. Bring your sunscreen out there. Check out some of these temperatures. Could be up towards 90 degrees by the time we get towards Monday, and then the potential for a little bit of a cool down after that. Spokane Metro, kind of hovering around average there, bouncing around back and forth. Nothing too crazy out there as well. Now, this is for Seattle. Here we are looking at the August 8th and 9th time frame here where some of this precipitation looks like it's showing up in some of the ensemble runs. We've been watching this the last couple of days now. And yeah, so, I mean, the control run not showing much, but some of the ensembles are picking up on some. So it is just a fantasy forecast right now. You can see all the time we have to watch this. Again, this is like about a week out. This is Hoquiam, something similar there as well. A lot of the ensemble members do have measurable precip. Bellingham, similar. And this potential does exist all the way down into Western Oregon here as well. This would be Salem, Oregon. Some of the ensemble members showing some precipitation. Now, this is looking at 8-meter above ground smoke density, and you can see the fires ongoing out here. So if you're smelling smoke and wondering why that is occurring, you still have the flat fire going on down here up towards the Canada border here, Central Cascades of Oregon as well. Not too crazy, especially compared to previous years, but if you smell it or if you're nearby one of these fires, that's a different story. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here. Washington, Oregon above average. Look at this big blue blob out here over Montana and Wyoming, keeping things below average out there. A lot of precipitation coming for the next 10 days or so out there also, and the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook reflects that. Maybe some above average conditions here across some of the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, you can see this. Some thunderstorm activity going to keep us in the above average category here. An 8 to 14 day here. Maybe we'll bring that system through here and bring some precip. That's yet to be seen at this point. This is the U.S. monthly drought outlook here. This was released yesterday. The brown here is drought persists across a lot of the Oregon Cascades, Western Washington Cascades as well. And the yellow means you're introducing drought possibly here across some of eastern Washington, down towards the Portland Metro as well, and kind of including some more areas of eastern Oregon also. So yeah, not great news on that front here, but hopefully we can start to make up for that as we go towards the fall months. But, you know, going into this El Nino year, things are going to be really uncertain just how it's going to unfold. So we'll watch it as we go slowly, day by day, all the way in through fall and winter coming up here. But yeah, not great news here from the monthly drought outlook here. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to warm things up here a bit this weekend, some higher terrain thunderstorms, and then all eyes will be on that potential system trying to swing through here in about a week or so coming up. Purely fantasy right now. Don't be expecting precipitation across the Seattle Metro or Portland Metro just yet. We have plenty of time to look at that system. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.